Illinois became a state in 1818, but it wasn't until the year after the end of the Black Hawk War in 1833 that the first European settler came to this area to form St. Charles, Illinois. Hi, I'm Darcy from the St. Charles Public Library, and joining me is Lindsay Judd from the St. Charles History Museum. Today we're going to invite all you junior historians to learn a little bit more about how St. Charles was named and became a city. Tell us about the first European settler in this area.
So Evan Shelby moved from Indiana to claim a large tract of land on the east side of the Fox River in 1834. He convinced his brother-in-law, William Franklin, to also move from Indiana and help him build a settlement in Illinois. Once they had a house to live in, Lydia Franklin, Shelby's sister and Franklin's wife, brought her 2 children to live in the new settlement. That settlement was started here along the east side of the Fox River. Their home was stationed on what would become the block surrounded by State and Cedar Streets and 3rd and 4th Avenues, which is currently where we are standing right now.
So when was St. Charles originally founded?
This same year, 1834, saw more people moving to the area. Reed Fearson and Iron Menard traveled to Illinois with their brothers from Vermont. They traded Evan Shelby for 8 acres of land along the east side of the Fox River in exchange for the promise to build a dam, a sawmill, and a trading post. Fearson and Menard decided to name the settlement Charleston, after a town in their home state. In 1836, Calvin Ward moved to the Charleston settlement and helped plan out the town and build a dam. Shelby, Menard, and Ward hired Mark W. Fletcher, a surveyor, to plan the layout of the east side of town. At the same time, Fletcher was hired by Gideon Young to plan out the west side of town. Later, in 1836, Bella Thatcher Hunt replaced Ward in the partnership with Fearson and Menard.
So wait, this town was originally named Charleston? How did it become St. Charles?
So it was soon discovered that Illinois already had an established town named Charleston. Local lawyer, publisher, and Judge Stevens S. Jones suggested our town be named St. Charles. You can see a portrait of Stevens at the St. Charles History Museum.
Oh, so then who would be considered our town's founding families?
So while Evan Shelby may have been the first pioneer to settle in the area that would become known as St. Charles, it was Reed Fearson, Ira Menard, and Bella Hunt that were the driving force of establishing the town. Shelby died only a few years after creating his homestead in Charleston, and his sister, brother-in-law, and their family moved to California in a few short years after moving to Illinois.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about each of these 3 founders?
Ira Menard was known for his financial prowess and would become one of the richest men in northern Illinois. In 1836, he helped found Kane County. Though he wasn't successful at getting the railway to run through St. Charles, he was able to arrange for the stage route to run through town in order to keep the area thriving with regular travelers and deliveries. Ira also established the first company store in St. Charles, located near the dam. He served as a state senator in 1842. Reed Fearson ended up marrying Ira's wife's sister, Clorinda Wheeler. Richmond School was named after their granddaughter, Harriet Richmond. Fearson Creek Road, Fearson Creek Elementary School, and Fearson Creek Park are all named after this man to honor all the land and time he donated to town. Bella Hunt helped build the town's first frame building, a building supported by internal framework as opposed to being held up by walls alone, and he built one of the first brick homes. He opened several businesses and purchased additional land for the town. He was also the first treasurer of Kane County. His son Frank served as the 4th, 8th, and 10th mayor, and his grandson Edwin was the 11th mayor of St. Charles.
Wow, that is so cool. I didn't realize this history was so rich. I didn't realize St. Charles was almost 200 years old. And a lot of these things you mentioned sound very familiar, and I'm sure in future junior historian programs we'll learn learn even more about it. So for now, we're going to head back to the St. Charles History Museum, and we're going to do a demonstration about how to make our very own scrapbooks. Can you share with us a little bit about how history enthusiasts can learn more about local history?
Absolutely. For more information about the founding of St. Charles and any other historical information that you want to know, visit the link below to the St. Charles History Museum's website where you can find out more.
All right, let's go.
Right. Welcome to the St. Charles History Museum and the Curious Fox gift shop. Let's go learn some history. Come on. So remember that man we were talking about who renamed St. Charles? Well, this is him right here, Stevens S. Jones. And this portrait was painted by Sheldon Peck. 100 years ago, up until now, scrapbooks were not only a popular hobby, but they were also a way for people to document their everyday lives. This scrapbook we have here in our collection is of the river wheel paddle boats, including newspaper clippings and photographs.
Hi, I'm back at the St. Charles History Museum in the Bryans Gallery. Isn't it beautiful? I love this light up feature. I want one in my house. Today for our scrapbook, just to hold on to our own personal histories, we're going to be making our own scrapbook pages. You will need paper with any color, any pattern you'd like, a glue stick, ruler, markers, colored pencils, crayons, whichever you have on hand, a scissor or a cutting pad, and a pencil, an eraser, and also any mementos you have. I printed some off of my camera. Here's an example of some that I've made before with extra added colors. For this page, I drew the background first and then added a layer over it to hold our pictures. And this one, I glued the pictures on first and then drew around it. You can also do yours more simply and have it do horizontal, or you can do very simple colors. This is a sepia and black color scheme. So this is my front cover. I tried to duplicate the handwriting on old photos, and then once I open it up, I'll have a 2-page spread, which will continue on to another page. So I'm going to add some more of my pictures today in this color scheme. I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to figure out how I want to do the layout. Next time we're going to be doing simple bookbinding, so I'm going to figure out how I want to lay out my page, either vertically in portrait or landscape horizontally. Since the rest of my page is horizontally, I'm going to line up my ruler along the left-hand side. I'm going to draw a line about 1 inch over so I know to leave enough space for the holes and the yarn for the next bookbinding. All right, now I know I have this whole rest of the space to fill up. I have the pictures already cut, and I can decide how I want to display them, the layout or the composition of the page. These are actually photos of my town, so I'm laying them out how they're actually displayed in the street. If I lay it out that way, it gives me extra room right here to add some text. If I like, I can actually add more paper behind it to create a frame behind the picture, and I can use my scissors to cut around the edges to create a nice little border, similar to how I did this page. For now, I think I'm just going to leave the pages here, and I'm going to use my glue stick to glue them down. If you're messy, try to put something under your surface so you don't get glue and marker all over the place. Be careful when you lay your items out. And always remember, when you're using historical facts, make sure you check with an adult so you don't glue original items down so they can't be reused again. flip this over and rub the pages down to make sure the glue really sticks. And that way, if the ink won't come off on my hand from the pictures that I'm gluing down. There we go, no curling edges. And there's our next scrapbook page. Now I can use my markers to write something new. And there's my next page ready to go, be added to the scrapbook. That's it for today. Thank you for joining the St. Charles History Museum and the St. Charles Public Library for Junior Historians. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be notified when new videos are posted.